So in this video, we're going to look at 10 really key essentials that every coach needs. And I know what you're thinking, why do I need to prioritize my essentials as a coach? And the reason is this: most coaches, as they come into the game cold, or they don't have enough experience, or they're not professionals, they often don't have the budget to get everything that they need, right? And as a coach, there's a lot of things out there that can benefit you, improve your coaching abilities, right? You have different notepads, different equipment that you can use for practices. You have different subscription services. You have different team management software, etc. So what are the key things that you need when you start off, right? So if you are in that situation where you're not sure what to get, then I would definitely recommend that out of this list, you should prioritize some of the things that you may need before some of the others, right? So out of the 10 things that we'll actually talk about, 5 of them are more essentials for outdoor activities, the practices, the games, etc. And the other 5 focus more on the actual preparation, right? The planning piece and the organizational piece of coaching as well. I also put in links to some of the items in the description, so you can check them out as well. On some of the items through Amazon or through other sources, you'll get around 5-10% discount as well. I would also say prioritize based on your needs, right? This is not a one size fits all. So the essentials that every coach needs depend on the age group you're coaching, the number of kids that are in your group, the level, whether it's intercity, whether it's a local league, whether it's just a recreational league, etc. Here are the most essential things that coaches need to have on field. Number 5, apparel. One of the most basic items that all coaches need to have. Your players need to believe every word you say on the field, and you need to look like a coach when you're giving those instructions. Often you will need to show them how to kick a ball or tackle or even make a run, and being in a coaching outfit will help them take you seriously. So please wear the right clothes and bring the right apparel with you in a bag if required. That includes jerseys, tracksuits, socks, shoes with cleats, or indoor shoes if it's an indoor session. Shin pads as well if you're going to be participating in the entire session, and even a cap if it's too sunny out there. The only exception to this rule is if it's match day and you feel like wearing something slightly different. If you're a professional coach, you could go with something more formal, or even a t-shirt with a track pant would suffice. Another exception is if you're going straight to the field from work. Even then, I've been in those situations, and I've always had a change of clothes with me in my bag. So for all your stuff, and I mean personal stuff, you need to have your own bag. Do not mix this stuff up with the team bag. I have purposely not mentioned one item that needs to be added to your bag, because that's a dedicated item mentioned as number 2 in this list. We'll get to that in a bit. At number 4, we have equipment. Often coaches have a designated equipment manager who could be a parent or assistant coach. But ultimately, you as the coach are responsible for having the right equipment available on the field. This includes balls, preferably in a netted bag, other practice equipment like high cones, flat cones, ladders, portable goals, etc. Whatever you need needs to be with you at all times. Sometimes you may also need to add last minute equipment to your practice. Hence, it's always good to have all your equipment in one place, so it's as easy as picking up the bag and taking it to practice. Adding to all of these items, I often have a second bag that has all the away jerseys in case of color conflicts at a game. I also have an extra goalkeeping jersey in case your main goalkeeper is stuck in traffic or has an emergency. I also have extra home jerseys, shorts, and socks just in case, because players can be clumsy sometimes. You can keep this bag in the trunk of your car and hope that you never need to get it. And if you do need to get it, it's never too far away. Always better than driving back home when you're in a time crunch. I know what you're thinking. This guy wants me to carry 3 bags, one for the team equipment, one for the backup items, and one for my personal stuff. What if I also have a purse or a satchel as well? Well, in that case, you're gonna have a lot to carry. At number 3, we have a whistle and chronometer. This item is optional for a lot of coaches, but I can tell you that when your players start going from 7 aside to 9 aside to 11 aside, they start to congregate in areas furthest from you. Hence a whistle is always good. And you also want them to start playing to the whistle when they start getting to the older age groups. So using a whistle would get them used to that. A chronometer is useful if you like doing repetitive speed drills. That will help you keep tabs on how your players are improving in terms of pace. The easiest timed exercise is to tell your players to do 3 full circuits of the field, running around each corner flag as boundaries. So you whistle and they start, and that's where you start your timer, and you turn off your timer when the last player finishes the 3rd lap. This is a very standard and widely used timed warm-up, which needs a whistle and a chronometer. What I've always done is I've always tied my whistle and my chronometer together and just wear it around my neck. So it's always easier to handle and I never forget it in my bag. Before we go any further, please make sure you subscribe to Soccerspective for more engaging content like this. I'll give you a couple of seconds to click on that button. At number 2, we have the tactics board. The tactics board will also fit into your personal coach's bag. Now, do not confuse the tactics board to be a team item. It's not. I treat my tactics board as closely as my wallet. It's always with me in my personal bag, just in case I need to do some preparation, take some notes, etc. There is a difference between a tactics board and a practice planner. A tactics board is required on the field to explain positioning, tactics, and strategy to your players. This comes very handy before and during a game. Most tactic boards are magnetic and can have a half field or full field illustration. Some boards are also just sheets of paper on a clipboard, but I do not recommend those, as the last thing your players want is to read some bad handwriting off of a sheet of paper. They want to see the field, some colored magnets, stuff moving around all the time. So, have you guessed what's at number 1? At number 1, we have one of the most basic items, but often forgotten by most coaches, the water bottle. This should be on every coach's list, but is often underestimated or forgotten. And when I say water bottle, I mean your own personal water bottle for you, the coach. The person responsible for all of the items on the list so far and responsible for getting all your players organized, you need to be thinking clearly. You need to be making quick decisions, whether it's to increase the size of the drill zone or whether it's to substitute your striker or whether to yell at the referee, right? You need to be making the right decisions. So many things going through your mind. Make sure you stay hydrated. One of my rules to stay hydrated is at every goal kick, every goal, and every red card, I take a sip of water. I suggest you do the same. So let me share with you the top 5 things that all coaches need. Number 5, subscription to live matches. One of the requirements for all coaches is keeping tabs on what's happening in the best leagues in the world. You also often need to watch big tournaments and post-match analyses of games. So a subscription to matches is a must-have. A lot of my fellow coach friends tell me that they prefer watching just the highlights portions of games to save time. But I really don't recommend that. You need to pay attention to the things happening live on the field, off the ball, especially in big games, and not just be watching the goals and chances created. I've mentioned a few subscription options in the description below. Basically, you need to become a student of the game, and getting a subscription to live matches is the best way to do so. Number 4, books. Another way to become a student of the game and to keep tabs on how tactics and formations and strategies have evolved is to read books. There's a wide range of books available out there about clubs and players and coaching. I've always been one of the first to read autobiographies by coaches, since that tells you a lot about how much goes on behind the scenes at a football club, how coaches think, how they plan practices, and how they really react to certain in-game situations. It also gives you a good understanding how coaches manage people, the players, the staff, and everybody else around them. Another one of my favorite themes in books is tactical analysis of formations. As a coach, you're going to use different types of formations in your coaching career, whether it's the 4-2-3-1, whether it's the 4-3-3 or the 4-4-2. So you need to understand the dynamics, the player positionings that go with these formations. And reading about them, understanding the theoretical aspects of them is one of the best ways to actually be a student of the game. I've also mentioned some of my favorite books in the video description below. Number 3, team management software. This is probably one of the most obvious ones and something that I hope that you're already doing every season. A team management software helps you track the players, the budgeting, attendance, statistics, and organize everything for the entire season. All your photos, reminders, and even invoicing can be done within the software, so it'll save you and the rest of the team a lot of time and effort. I would recommend getting a software that is compatible with a web browser and an app. I've often found myself scrambling at the last minute to check attendance or exact location of a game, so having the app definitely helps. I've personally used TeamSnap for majority of my time as a coach, and it's one of the best software out there. Before we go any further, please make sure you subscribe to Soccerspective for more engaging content like this. At number 2, we have the practice or tactics planner. All coaches need a pen and a paper the night before a practice to sketch out the training plan. This includes the drills, the equipment logistics, the breakdown of the session, and the zones of the field that need to be used. Now, instead of doing this on separate pieces of paper, why not get a practice planner? This is basically a binder or a leather folder that has pre-drawn fields and practice templates on it. Usually, it has a place to take notes as well. There are some amazing practice planners out there that can also be used as tactic boards during games. This will save you a lot of time and effort because all you have to do is gather your thoughts and drills in one place. And the number 1 item that you need as an off-field essential is your season organizer. Yes, the season organizer is the number 1 essential tool for all coaches. For those who don't know what a season organizer is, this is the plan you make right at the beginning of the season, even before your season starts. Once you receive the fixture list for all your league games, you plot them onto a calendar. Then you take all the available slots from your club for field availability and you put that onto the calendar. And then you start looking at the tournament schedule for different regions and different tournaments for that season, and try to figure out which tournaments your team will participate in and when. Once all of these things are in the same place, you need to start making some of your most important decisions. You need to start identifying which of your practices will be low intensity, which ones will be tactical sessions, which one will be purely team building and fun, and which ones will be high intensity. You want to make sure you have the right practices at the right time. Similarly, you want to make sure that you want to pick the right tournaments at the right time in the season as well. That's why a season planner is so important. Now comes the kicker. There isn't a one-size-fits-all season planner out there. So you're going to have to build your own. You can use your team management software to a certain extent and even identify the practice teams, but there will be a lot of fine-tuning that will need to come from you directly. And that's the primary reason why there are so few season planners out there. Before you start making your own plan, just remember a few golden rules. No high intensity practices 48 hours before a game. Take the time to talk tactics with your team, especially within 24 hours of a big game against a tough opponent. Make sure to reduce the frequency of practices when you have more than 2 games in a week. Pick your tournaments based on your league fixture schedule and your practices, and try not to overcrowd the games. And finally, once you have all this figured out, use your on-field and off-field essentials to have the best practices and win games. This is where it all comes together. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to click the thumbs up button. Thanks for watching.